Vajszlo is located in Baranya County, in Hungary, a country in Central Europe. The village is in Ormánság, a region in the southern part of Hungary. When entering the village, the first thing we see is the creek called Fekete Víz, which can be translated as black water or, as the villagers call it, Kancsi. The village is religiously diverse. Ever since the 19th century, Catholic, Greek Orthodox, Evangelist, Protestant and Jewish people have lived together. The windows of the Catholic Church were originally placed in Vajdahunyad Castle. The church was built in 1781 in Louis XVI style. Currently, there are many gypsy families living in the village. The appearance of gypsies took place several centuries earlier near the river Drava. The first gypsy statistics were produced in 1873. Mostly, the Ola group of gypsies lived here. They dealt with wood cutting, trough and kitchen spoon making. There is also a Croatian minority. The number of inhabitants is around 1,800. The village was first mentioned in written sources in 1244 as Vajszlo. The name comes from the Croatian word Vajszlo. An old trading road goes through the village. To keep the possessions of the family together and because of poverty, it was common that families had only one child. It was called egykézés. Women who had more than one child were considered immoral. Main occupations of the inhabitants were fishing, hunting, gathering and livestock breeding till the end of the 18th century. A lot of grey cattle were kept in the Ormánság because of their low feed demand and immunity to diseases. In the life of Vajszlo's inhabitants, pigs played an important role. The pigs were shepherded into the forest where they could eat their favorite food, acorns. This was called makkoltatás or masting. Agriculture was also important in the economy of Vajszlo during the 19th century. 1901 was a special date in the life of the village. The Emperor of Austria and the King of Hungary, Franz Joseph, visited the village. It was the first visit of a royalty in 500 years. There is a statue commemorating those who died in World War I and World War II. 1956 is an important year in the history of Hungary. It was then when the inhabitants of Hungary rebelled against the government and its Soviet-imposed politics. Vajszlo also took part in it with its own mini-rebellion. It started in the Györkő Tavern, where students were listening to the radio, and after that they decided to organize a rebellion in Vajszlo. The crowd marched through the village and they shouted the same key words as in Budapest, like "Russians go home." The demonstration lasted for one day in Vajszlo, and at the end of the day all the demonstrators went home. One of the most important figures of the village is János Kodolányi, a Hungarian writer who was raised in Vajszlo. He made the region Ormánság famous in his works. The school, which was built in the 1920s, is named after him. There is also a museum built in his memory. It opened in 1979, where not only his life but also the word of his writings appears. There is also an ethnographic house belonging to the Kodolányi Museum. The village has various unique features. One of them is the talpasház, which is a type of housing that stands on a wooden frame. Since floods were common, it was the only way the houses could be protected from the water. The houses had one room, one kitchen and one storage room. These houses were covered by shingles, cane and cereal straw. The clothing was also special to the area. The color of grief was white, unlike in other parts of Hungary. There were other traditional and unique items of clothing, like the skirt called bikla. The watermelons of Vajszlo are very famous all over the country. Today, there are various festivals held in the village. One of these is the Vajszlo Days. There is also a Christmas party and a charity ball. Among the facilities of the village, there are the various shops, the library, and naturally the football or soccer field, which is a very important part of every Hungarian settlement. Last year, a building was erected for educational and research purposes, and it was founded by the European Union. The school has a new park. Its construction was also financed by the EU. The House of Culture was named after Tamás Balikó, who was the director of the Theatre of Pécs, and he had lived in Vajszlo before. Vajszlo has two cemeteries, a Catholic and a Calvinist. The Jewish Hill was also a cemetery, but there are not any tombstones there. It is just a hill now, but it is known as a place where Jews were buried. The Calvinist church is a covered church and its reconstruction is taking place now. Its tower is new and it was built a year ago. There is a club for the youth and the elderly, where everybody has the opportunity to entertain themselves in modern conditions. The market, where everybody can buy fresh vegetables, fruits, flowers and other things, is full of produces. Vajszlo also has accommodation for tourists. It is called Lázár Guest House. Vajszlo currently has a biogas plant. Its purpose is to produce energy and also to create more workplaces in the region. Vajszlo also has a bread factory which supplies bakery products not just to the village but to all other nearby settlements.